Hi, I'm Travis, and this is Handcrafted Overlanding. Today, it's time to help the grocery getter out a little bit more. If you saw in the last video, the 4runner had a leaky radiator. Well, it's time to tackle that. So, on top of doing a radiator, I started looking at it, and I realized, since I'm in there, might as well start doing the thermostat, the water. Anyways, it really kind of just snowballs. So this process is really well documented through A1 Auto. They have a great video for this. I'll link it in the description. But generally, the goal for today is going to pull the radiator, replace the pump. We got pulleys and a tensioner, new belt, hoses, and of course coolant. I'm hoping I don't have to do the tensioner because, as you can see, this thing's Mondo. You actually have to drop the alternator and the power steering pump in order to pull it out. But we're going to go in and we'll take a look to see how that pulley is faring and how that tensioner is faring. So first process is going to be drain the radiator. This particular V6 has two coolant dumps on each side of the, well, it has one on each side of the engine. So we're going to dump the coolant out of the radiator, out of the engine block, because we're going to do a whole fluid change, not just what's in the radiator, because I don't know what's in there. I haven't done any work on this vehicle in a really long time. So we're going to drain the coolant, we're going to pull off the skid plates in case I have to go do that tensioner pulley, which is going to be all under the vehicle, and I'm not looking forward to that. Then we'll pull the radiator, we'll pull the fan shroud, the radiator, the pump, then the air intake when we go to pull the pump. You'll see it's a really weird design. Again, 1A Auto has a really good video of that, and again, it's linked in the description. So I think this particular V6 spans 4runners, Toyotas, FJs, a lot of different vehicles. So this particular work will cover everything. I think it's like from 05 to like 2010. I'll put the years that this engine was in down in the description. Anyways, it's time to start dumping fluids and getting the skid pan off, or skid plates off. All right, let's do it. Well, according to the internet, this whole job can be done with 10 and 12 millimeter sockets. Well, 10 and 12 millimeters. Whether or not that's true, we'll find out. So these rear ones are 12. Here's me going with a cheapy little impact. Be right back. So all four of those bolts are the exact same, all 12 mil. That comes down. Ah, I got a little leak. So this one, apparently you're supposed to undo the front two. And the front two, sorry. You undo the front two, then you undo the rear two, and this thing pivots down and slides off. So, see what happens. All right. Pivots down. I'm sure if my chest wasn't in the way, it would have already come loose. There we go. So now we have a petcock here that we can drain the radiator out of. Now I wish I had some rubber hose that I could fit over that and just drain it straight in the pan, but I don't. I'll double check, but I don't. This thing's probably gonna crack. So here's petcock. It'll drain out of here. This is probably gonna crack when I try to open it. I'm gonna use a pair of pliers. Oh no, don't even need to do that. That's all nice and loose. So we'll start the draining. Then I'll open up the top of the radiator and it should drain the radiator out. Well, you can see that drained out pretty quick. Also, don't turn that petcock out too far because it pops right out. All right, so next, it's time to start disassembling the top end. Now, for these little hoses, a lot of people say take a screwdriver, get up underneath there and start cracking it loose. I've found issues with that. Mostly cracked pipes, and then you have to go replace the whole thing. I bought these wrenches, or these pliers, back when I owned a BMW. Just for dark times. But this will go around the pipe. This not, you know, it's too big. Twist it. Yeah, that comes loose. There you go. In case I didn't have that properly in focus. Try that again. So that's in there like so. Comes around here. You'll be able to twist it. You'll be able to walk it right off. That's all it is. These have that double hinge in them because I had to get in real deep on things. These, they have a proper tool to disconnect those. I don't have one. A pair of sliding jaw pliers works just fine. So I need to get this off, I need to get the front cover off, I need to get this engine cover off, I need to pull this air box off because that leads to another part of the project. And then we will start unbolting things. Then I gotta get those bolts that are holding the fan on, and that is a 12 mil. So let's have some fun. So these right here are 12 mil, and you want to crack these loose with the with the belt still on the pulley, but you don't want to remove them completely because these studs hold the pulley onto the pump. So if you pull the whole fan assembly off, then you're looking at potentially the belt slipping off, slamming everything into your radiator if you're just doing a pump. The trick that they said online is put the wrench on and you just kind of give it a short couple jerks and you'll feel it pop loose, and you can see they're loose. Alright, so they're all cracked loose. Now we need to loosen up the tensioner, which is going to be this one. I think it's this one right here. So you'll put a socket wrench on it and you'll tilt it that way. So take a look. So before you remove your belt, do your best to document how it's routed. It's not going to be easy. It's right here behind this radiator hose. And you know what? I'm going to just pull that radiator hose off. So you get your wrench on here, and then you try to get over counterwise or to the passenger side of the vehicle. Get this on there. Just enough that you can get the belt off a little bit. And then, boom, that's done. Alright. Let's get the fan shroud loosened up. Looks like we got one here. here. On the bottom just kind of drops right in. Would you have guessed 12? Because if you had, you would have been wrong. That's loose. So we'll do, take off those 412s. Oh, I'm gonna lose this bottom one. Oh, I caught it! Yay! Last one loose. This fan's probably gonna need a little bit of tap. Yep. Don't do that, especially if you're planning on reusing your radiator. So these both have to come up kind of in the same portion. Let's see what I forgot over here. Just set that down right like that. I'll show you here in a second what I forgot. Which was holding in a couple of pieces. Also, it looks like it broke. So, fan clutch. If you plan on replacing your fan clutch, you can do it now. I know I still need to drain the engine block. I don't want to, but I'm still gonna have to. While I'm at it, let's take a look at this pulley. That belt actually doesn't look half bad. Spins a little bit freer than I really want it to, but there's no side-to-side play and it keeps tension on it. So I'm not going to replace that because, as you can see, I'm going to pull the alternator and the pump. It's a whole long process. Again, go check out 1aauto.com's link. You'll see how they do it. It's pretty intensive. All right, so time to pull the radiator. Alright, just an update. So I was wrong. There are 4 of these total. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you actually get to them from the front end of this. You end bolted here. The other one down here somewhere. Can't even feel it. I'll have to find that one. Same with this side. Alright. Let's get at it. Alright, I found it. Inside this. Right there. Inside. Not below it. Inside it. So, if you have a long enough extension, you actually can get a nice shot. See the third grill up, or the very top one, directly into there. So, this is an 18-inch extension bar. I don't know if you can quite see it, but it's right back in there. Anyways. At least I won't break my knuckles trying to get this out. Alright, next step's going to be getting the air intake off. I'm going to get the thermostat off. The reason why we're getting this off is there is this hose right here. Don't know if you can see it. Right there. That one, right there. So that's going to be the biggest pain of this whole project. So I'm going to go ahead and get the box off, which should be this 10, that 10, this connector here. Then we're going to disconnect this, and we're going to pull the air intake, or the MAF connection off. Then this whole thing should be able to pivot up and over that way. This will end up leaving alone, and then that should give us access to the whole top end of this guy, which is the air intake, which this air intake looks like a water manifold actually, but yeah, you're gonna get that water manifold off in order to get the pump off. Yeah, we're almost completely disassembled. So I'm gonna go ahead and work on that. All right, so got that off, peel that off, save it off to the moment. So we have a few bolts here that need to come off before we can get the water pump off. And then we also need to pull this and this pulley off. So, and then we get this hose off. All right, that's a 12. I'm pretty sure most of them are also going to be 12s. I think there's only 3, 4, or 9 bolts holding this on. There's like 16 holding the pump on. I mean, come on, Toyota. What the heck? All right. So I'm struggling because there's a pipe that connects right into the back of that and pulls straight out. But for a vehicle that hasn't been touched in probably 15 years, it isn't easy. Not even slightly. Alright, I'll be back. And we're back. We were just where we were last time. So we got pictures of the belt so we can remove the belt. I've decided that I'm not going to mess with the tensioner pulley because I just really don't want to do it. So I'm not going to do it. You can't make me. I'm not going to do it. We got to pull out that and this tensioner pulley. The reason why we need to pull the, or not tensioner pulley, the idler pulleys. The reason why we need to pull this out is because we have bolts for the pump behind it. Now, this pump is going to leak when we pull it because you have such a big reservoir. We also have like 12, 14 bolts. I mean, see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18-ish. Or I just did the math wrong. Well, anyways, there's a lot. They are both 10 and 12 millimeter. I grabbed the new pump because as I pull the bolts out of here, I want to drop them in here. I'm going to pull probably that bolt off last so the whole pump can swing out and come off. All right, let's do it. Alright, so far I need to find one of the 12 mils. I need to find the bolt and the back plate for the lower pulley. But overall, we are making great progress. I have no idea what's going on here. It feels like it's part of the cast. It's a groove. Same going on over here, only not as pronounced. Anyways, run a razor blade across this. Make sure the surface is all nice and clean. Then we're going to go ahead and install the pump, and then we're going to get the studs installed onto the pump. That's where everybody does it, is while it's on the block. So we'll get back to you. So got the pump snugged in with all the bolts. They've been hand tightened, not really cinched down. Now it's time to torque them. Now, generally I usually just kind of go by the seat of my pants, but fortunately, because this is a sealant lip, we really should torque it. So the 10 millimeter is 80 inch-pounds, and the 12 millimeter is 17 foot-pounds. I'm going to say that again. The 10 millimeter is 80 inch-pounds. The 12 millimeter is 17 foot-pounds. Inch-pound, foot-pound. Do not get them confused. You will snap a bolt, or it will not be tight enough and you will get a leak. Inch-pound, foot-pound. 80, 17. 80 inch-pounds, 17 foot-pounds. Do not get that wrong. I have this small torque stick that I'll be using for the small ones, and then either I will do a calculation to get me up to foot-pounds, or I will go grab my big torque stick. Alright, let's get these torqued down. So that is torqued to spec. Next, we gotta get the studs into here. That's gonna be fun, don't you think? Thanks, Toyota. Could have put those in for me from the factory, but no. It's not fair to blame them. This isn't an OEM pump. Alright. So these have a long side and a short side. Or long side and short side. The short side goes into the pump. We're going to take two nuts, we're going to put them on each thread, we're going to cinch them down, we're going to take a screwdriver to hold this in place as we tighten those down into position. Alright, so we're going to screw one on, I can get it on. Against it. Tighten the front one, loosen the rear one. This will snug them up against each other. Now, as you can see, I'm rotating the stud, not the bolts, against each other. So, feels about snug. It's about same length as the other one that's in there. Let's give it just a little bit more. Alright. That should be ridiculously hard to take off. And now, crack these two loose. Don't put your fingers between the two. You will be cursing. So far, when it comes to working on vehicles, I haven't really been cursing. Maybe that means Toyotas are easy. I don't know. Definitely easier than BMWs, I can tell you that much. Alright, I got 2 more of these studs to go. We'll come back when I'm done. So the reason why the sun's gotten mighty low and I'm now just bringing you back is there's a lot of the video that I'm referencing from 1A Auto says that these should be tightened to 29 inch-pounds. Now, if you recall, we tightened those to 80 inch-pounds. And there's a lot more bolts there than there is here. So I think I'm going to tighten this down to 29 foot-pounds. A lot of people online seem to think that that's the proper torque. Alright, pulleys have been tightened down. Time to install this upper manifold. So just spray this with a little bit of silicone lube, hoping that'll help hold this in place while I put the upper manifold on. I'm also going to spray up here with a little bit of silicone lube as well, up here. This should help me to slide that back on. If you don't recall, or if you recall, I took a few minutes to get that thing off. This is just to help it slide back on. A little bit of lube goes a long way. Let's look right in. All right, so we got the new thermostat on, new pump on, the 3 idler pulleys on. Next is going to be the radiator, the fan, and then actually let's do the radiator with the belt in place, and then we'll do the fan, and then we'll do the upper radiator or the radiator hoses, and then it'll be time to fill this thing up. So one thing you'll end up having to do is probably pulling out these rubber isolators. So the top one is different. It has a hook on it. See, there's a hook on it right there. That pulls, so this is all the same all the way across. Pulls at the middle piece from the front, pulls out. This peels off as a gasket. And this pushes forward and out. That's all it takes. There's no need to pull this off the rubber material, but if it comes off, it comes off. So we'll pull that out. little gasket, push it forward, and it's out. Then to reinstall them, just spray a little bit of silicone lubricant on there and it'll pop it right in. Alright, I'm going to finish getting the new radiator all set up and then we will install it. Yummy! Looks like a transmission fluid change is next. It never ends. This little tab down there I'm trying to get. Alright, battery's dead, so I'm going to finish hooking this up and then I'll bring it back when I mount the pulley. Alright, those are snugged up. Now I'm going to finish getting the belt routed. Then I'm going to pull the tensioner pulley and get the belt on, hopefully. You don't need to watch me struggle. Alright, belt's on, upper radiator hose is on, radiator's in place, coolant tank's filled, all our connectors are plugged back in. I don't have the cover back on yet, and I don't have the skid plates on, nor do I have the cover for this. Mostly because my luck has always been, you do it the first time, something's going to leak, I got to tear back into it, so might as well just leave that off. It saves me an extra 20 minutes. Alright, so time to start filling. For those astute of you wondering if I tightened down the 12mm bolts on the mechanical fan, I didn't. Let's see what happened. I didn't do anything. I didn't tighten it down, but I realized after running it for a minute, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be bad in all sense of the word. So, engine runs, pump looks like it's working. There doesn't appear to be any leaks. So the capacity on this guy is supposed to be 10.3 and I put in almost exactly 8. So there was a 2.3 quarts left in this engine. I drained the passenger side. I could not get to the driver's side, so I didn't even bother. So for a recap, replace the radiator, the water pump, the thermostat, the upper and lower radiator hose, all 3 idler pulleys, as well as drained as much coolant as I could access, and then refilled it. So I'm gonna run this thing up to temperature. I don't see any leaks, but we're going to go ahead and run it up to temperature and just to make sure. So anyways, thanks for watching. Hope you learned something, and have a great day.